Okay, now after we understand different type of tendering method, is suited for different type of project, different nature of project, and then different type of agreement, different type of contracting method, and it will suit different type of procurement strategies. We need to understand that now when you're talking about solicitation, tendering, there are processes that you need to go through, you see, and basically you will have to go through that tender preparation period, tender period, and tender evaluation period, which we have which is actually listed in this picture here, and we will speak about that as we move on to this thing, you see. So basically in the first stage that you're going to do is you're going to prepare. You're going to do a lot of preparation here, and the preparation will involve getting the requisitions, ready, preparing all the legal documents. You got to prepare what you want as a client, prepare it all clearly. What are the rights? What do you want a contractor to do? And how much you're willing to pay for it, and the more responsibilities you give them, you cannot put in everything their responsibilities. They need to do this, and you're not going to pay for it. There's no way. It's not going to happen that way, you see. So in the preparation stage, we are essentially going to prepare all the legal documents, the contracting documents, the contracting strategies, and then after that, after your requisition is complete, then you need to send up for approval for tendering. And in the approval, you will see that there is your client needs to, your owner, the owner of the project needs to give that stamp and say, okay, now the process is ready, we go for it. You see, like started, you see. So when it started approval, you will start to prepare, understanding that it's the requisition bit of things. You prepare the documents, then they say, okay, now go for it. And then you start to prepare the tender documentation. Tender documentation and the preparation bit is two different things. Like I said, preparation is more on the technical documents, the drawings, the specifications, the required feasibility studies. All that is done during that stage. Whereby documentations here, I would say, is a tendering documents. Not only you put in whatever you prepare in stage one, you're also preparing what we call summary of tender. What are the pages of tender that you need to fill? What are the forms that you need to fill for what the tender needs to fill for the proposed material, the brands, and put in the supporting documents. You need to spell out what you want to see them propose or see them put into your project, you see. And then in the documentation side also, you need to list down, when to come in for picking up of the documents and how much does each document cost, you see. And then if you pick up some of the documents fees, what are the tender deposit fees? There are many fees that tenderers need to pay because of the preparation that is being made earlier on. You as a client can actually set the fees. So if they win it, these are all kind of like part of the contract already. If they don't win, they want to return the document, they're going to get back the tender deposit, you see. And you don't want the contractor to come or the service provider to come and pick up all the documents and then, it's wasting it, and they look at the paperwork and they go like, oh dear, I don't want to do it, and then they don't tender, and then they don't, then they get the papers all for free kind of thing, your work for free, that sort of things. We don't want that, you see. So we want them to properly register for it, and all that. Then after that, we also have to prepare, besides all the fees, you also need to prepare what are the licenses that are needed. You need them to give what license. Is it UPK, PKK, is it federal license, or CIDP license, or any of the manufacturing license, or machinery providing license, or they are they the sole proprietor, sole owner, sole dealer. You need them to give them all the license, especially for supply of materials and also machineries, and then you need to put down when they need to submit and how they need to submit, and all the processes about submission very clearly. You need to list down in this documentation towards the invitation stage of the project. So in the invitation stage of the project is whereby all these paperwork documentations are ready, and then you do the invitation, meaning that you will either send out the invitation letters or do open tendering, like put it into big newspapers, 3 major newspapers. Those are invitation. But before you invite, you need to get the paperwork or the tender requirement ready. And most of the tender requirement will include like how are they going to submit, when they're going to submit, where they're going to submit, and what time they must submit, and what time is closed, And you may also put down your selection criteria as well. We do not know. Some company, for transparency reasons, maybe it's a listed company, they need to put down the criteria for transparency purposes. Okay. And then if not, then they don't have to. Their measurement stage, they don't have to do that as well. Okay. And then going into the process after you invite, then they will go into the process, the process of calculation, checking the drawings, understanding the site, briefing the contractors, briefing the service provider. You may want to bring them in for tender briefing, telling them what are the complications that they may face, in the process of doing their tendering, you see. And then after that, you will have an award. After that, you will also get, they will do estimation, they will do schedules, they will give proposal, they will do schematic drawings, it depending on what you're calling for, okay? So if you're calling for proposal or quotations or tender or bid, there's all different things, you see, that is needed to be provided for, but you must list it down in the documentation stage. And in the processing stage is whereby, they are going to go through the tender and come up with the pricing, the drawings, and all the needed paperwork documentation, fill up everything, and then they will wrap it up the way that you want them to wrap up in stage 3, and then come in on the specific day over a specific period of time before that date, and then submit in the tender. Or they come in and do presentations or proposals and show you what they are all about, and show you the ideas and all that. So it can be a very open proposal where all the tenderers are there. You can learn from one another as well in terms of the work that some people are proposing. It's very interesting, actually. A big, huge project that will involve architect, development company, architect, with engineers, with QSs. They're all going to be there to support one another in order to do their presentation. So once there, you will go through the tender evaluation procedures and all the criteria for tendering, all the criteria for setting, like picking the right contractor. Your board of evaluator will know. Okay, your board of you call it board of tender will know. So the board will mark, they will give rubrics, they will mark, they will go through the paperwork that they submitted by the contractor's service provider, and they look at the proposed materials, proposed machineries with the certificates and all that sort of things. It's going to be a long day, to process this tender. Not only you look at price, you look at their capacities, you look at their cash flow, you look at their manpower, you look at the machineries, you look at all the proposed brands and certificates and all that. And then after that, you go into that award stage, okay? You award them with the job, okay? So, yeah, like I say, documentation is very important. I myself as an engineer has faced many times that, when we're trying to rush a tender and bring it in, and, you don't want to be disqualified because you're late, you see? You want to be early, you want to submit it early. It's no doubt. What can go wrong can go wrong. I remember there was a tender that, I was going to go overseas, and I get my office to actually submit the tender, and then what will really go wrong? On the day itself, actually, it's 16 flow, and then the lift actually broke down. So luckily, the lady who went has another guy to go with her, and she was actually pregnant. So I don't think, if she can actually walk up 16 stories, I think I would have been a murderer already by then. Okay, and then so the guy had to run up 16th floor, just to make it 5 minutes before the closing time. It was like such a just one of those things that you really need to be careful. So what is stated, you need to read through it, process it carefully. Stage 3, stage 5, process it carefully. And hope for the best and submit it. And try to evaluate. If you are in the board, you need to evaluate in a fair, transparent manner to give the job
2 weeks